want you to imagine something. Your wedding day, the most important day of your life. The room is full of flowers and music and people who love you, but only one side of the room is full. The other side, your side, is empty, not because nobody was invited, but because nobody came. My name is Elena, and on the day I got married, my side of the church had 3 people in it: my best friend, her husband, and an elderly neighbor who had known me since I was a child and had shown up in her Sunday best without being asked. 3 people. My husband's side had 64. I had counted, because when you are standing at the back of a church, about to walk down an aisle toward the man you love, and your side looks the way mine did, you count. You count because it is the only thing you can do with the E, feeling that is threatening to swallow you whole. Let me tell you how I got there. I grew up in the kind of family that looks normal from the outside. A mother, a father, 2 older brothers, a house in the suburbs, holiday dinners and birthday cakes, and the appearance of everything that is supposed to matter. But appearances, as I learned very early, are the most patient liars in the world. My mother had always made it clear, not in words, not directly, but in the 1,000 quiet ways that leave no evidence and maximum damage, that I was the wrong kind of daughter, too independent, too opinionated, too unwilling to be shaped into something more convenient. By the time I was 25, I had built a life entirely on my own. Career, apartment, a sense of myself that had been constructed, without their help and in spite of their resistance. When I met James, kind, patient, wonderful James, and he proposed, I made a decision. I invited my family to my wedding. Every one of them. My mother, my father, both brothers and their wives. Cousins I had not seen in years. Not one of them came. Not one sent a card. Not one called. And so I stood at the back of that church on the most important morning of my life, in a dress I had chosen alone, with flowers I had arranged alone. And I looked at 3 people on my side of the room. If this is opening something in you, if you know this feeling, subscribe to this channel right now, because you deserve to hear stories that see you completely. I will not pretend the walk down that aisle was easy. James was waiting at the altar with tears in his eyes, not from sadness, but from the particular kind of love that sees everything clearly and chooses you anyway. His family filled their side of the church with warmth and color and the quiet, generous energy of people who were genuinely happy to be there. And I walked toward him, slowly, deliberately, with my head up, past the empty pews on my left. I heard it, a whisper, from somewhere in the middle of James's family section. A comment not meant to carry, but that carried anyway in the particular acoustics of a quiet church. Poor thing, nobody came for her. A small laugh, quickly suppressed. I kept walking, eyes on James, head up. But I heard it, and I filed it away, the way I had learned, over a lifetime of being underestimated, to file things away. Not with bitterness, with patience. The ceremony was beautiful. James's vows made me cry. Mine made him cry. His mother cried. His aunts cried. My 3 people cried. The reception was when everything changed. We were 45 minutes into dinner. Speeches had been made. The cake had been cut. James's cousin had told an embarrassing story that had made the whole room laugh. And then the doors of the reception hall opened. I did not know what was happening at first. I saw the venue coordinator moving quickly toward the entrance. I saw James look up, and then look at me, with an expression I had never seen on his face before, confusion and something that looked like awe. I turned around, and standing in the doorway, filling it, spilling out of it, a crowd of people I had not seen in years and some I had never met, was the most unexpected thing I could have imagined. James had been making phone calls for 3 months. Without telling me, he had tracked down my college roommate who now lived in another country. He had found the teacher who had changed my life at 14, and who had retired to a coastal town 3 hours away. He had called the woman who had been my mentor at my first job. He had reached out, carefully, quietly, with the particular determination of a man who understood exactly what was missing and had decided to do something about it. 31 people had traveled, some from very far away, to be in that room. For me, I stood up from my chair, and for the first time that day, for the first time in longer than I could remember, I could not hold myself together. What happened next is something I will carry for the rest of my life. One by one, 31 people came to find me. My college roommate who had flown overnight from across the world. My teacher who had driven 3 hours in a car that probably shouldn't have made the journey. My first mentor who had brought her husband and flowers and a card that made me cry for 10 minutes in the bathroom. People who had mattered to me, people I had lost touch with, people James had found and called and quietly, persistently convinced to come. The woman who had whispered in the church, I watched her face change as the room filled. As it became clear that the woman with the empty pews had, in fact, people who loved her. They had simply been somewhere else until the right person went looking for them. She found me later in the evening, said something that was half apology and half explanation. I smiled and told her it was fine. It was fine, because what she had said in that church, and the way I had walked past it with my head up, had already been answered more completely than any words could have managed. My family, my mother and father and brothers, heard about what happened at the reception. I know because my aunt, who had been invited but had not come, called me 2 weeks later. She had heard the story. She was crying when she called. I should have been there, she said. Yes, I said simply. You should have. I did not say it with anger. I said it with the quiet, steady clarity of someone who has stopped needing things from people who are not able to give them. My mother called 3 months later. A short, uncomfortable call. She said she had heard the wedding was lovely. It was, I said. James made sure of it. There was a long pause. I'm sorry we weren't there, she said. I thought about it for a moment. Then I said, but I know. And I meant it. Not as forgiveness, not yet, but as acknowledgement of the complicated, painful, human reality that some people are simply not capable of showing up the way you needed them to. Not because you weren't worth it, but because they were too limited by their own wounds to see clearly. James and I have been married for 4 years. His family became my family. Not as a replacement, but as a gift. His mother calls me every Sunday. His sister is one of my closest friends. His aunts remember my birthday. The empty pews on my left are still part of my story. I don't erase them. They are part of what made me who I am, and what made the moment those doors opened at the reception so extraordinary. Here's what my wedding day taught me. The family you are born into is not always the family you get. Sometimes the family you deserve has to be found. By you. Or by someone who loves you enough to go looking. And when they walk through the door, however late, however unexpectedly, let them in. They laughed because my side was empty. Then 31 people walked through that door. And the room was never empty again.